And from here, we cut live across to Annual Business Summit 2025, where armed service chiefs are addressing a session on defence. We will have the session with Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh, Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi, Chief of the Naval Staff, Shri Rajesh Kumar Singh, Secretary, Department of Defence. We'll take you live there.
Mr. Sanjeev Puri, President CII, Shri Baba Kalyani, Founder, President of SIDM, Senior Officer Bearers of CII, Excellencies, distinguished members in the audience, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. It is my pleasure to be here in the annual Business Summit of the Confederation of Indian Industry and interact with the transformational leadership of the industry. The CII has been a catalyst in bringing together vision, policy, and enterprise to drive national progress over the years. Starting as the Engineering and Iron Trades Association in 1895, the CII has indeed become a trusted national player, actively shaping India's developmental efforts over the last 130 years. I also want to compliment all partners of India's defense ecosystem on what we have achieved and the galvanizing focus accorded to make in India by DPSUs, PSUs, MSMEs, and many startups. The success of our indigenous platforms and systems has extended Make in India to Trust in India. And the theme of this year's summit, Building Trust, India First, is most apt and timely. Ladies and gentlemen, we just heard the inspiring inaugural address by Honorable Raksha Mantri in the plenary session. I have no doubts that all of you would have taken note of his vision and expectation. So in the next 9 minutes or so that I have been given, it will be my endeavor to provide you with an overview of what and why we envision in the Navy in terms of harnessing the strength of our industry through collaborations and partnerships. To start with, let me clearly state once again that India was, India is, and India will always be a maritime nation. Not just by design in terms of geography, which all of you are aware, but also by destiny in terms of our future growth. The strategic maritime identity, what I just described, was aptly articulated by Honorable Raksha Mantri last year. And I quote him, "We were once known as a landlocked country with seashores, but now we can be seen as an island country with land borders," unquote. If you look at India's history, we have a rich maritime past and an unbroken seafaring tradition. Remarkably, all of you are aware, we are the only country in the world with an ocean named after us. Today, India is once again realizing its rich maritime potential, and the apex level vision and policymakers are aware, and their statements are reflective of this broader maritime renaissance. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, had made a clarion call of Sagar in 2015, security and growth for all in the region. And building on this legacy over the last 10 years, the vision has been rightly elevated to Mahasagar, or mutual and holistic advancement of security and growth across regions. This year, again in Mauritius. To my mind, this is reflective of India's growing stakes and steadfast conviction that our destiny as a nation lies in reclaiming our oceanic opportunities as the foundation of our future prosperity and global influence. As we look to become the third largest economy in the next few years, the seas will remain our engines for growth. I say this because amongst a plethora of data, I'll just quote two: 95% of India's trade by volume and 88% of our energy comes from the seas. Rest, you can do your math. So India's economy is and will remain dependent upon the seas, and by corollary, our future prosperity will be driven by, at, and from the seas. To safeguard our interests in the oceans and ensuring maritime security, the Indian Navy is committed to modernization through focused capacity building across all 5 domains: surface, subsurface, air, space, and cyber, and that is where all of you come in. So like I said, in building these capacities that I enunciated, our engagement with all of you, the industry, will be a key component in the years ahead. So here in the Indian Navy, we have adopted 3 mantras of indigenization, innovation, and integration. Firstly, the indigenization is our core priority. It has always been for now more than half a century. We are committed to becoming a fully Atmanirbhar force by aircraft carriers and SSBNs at sea. We continue our efforts to be self-resilient and reliant in other critical domains, and we in the Navy will continue to push you, that is you as industry. Innovation is Indian Navy's DNA. Stephen Johnson, in his book, Where Good Ideas Come From, says that, and I quote him, "Innovation does not come from giving incentives. It comes from creating environments where ideas can connect," unquote. Which is why organizations like Naval Innovation Indigenization Organization, NIIO, that we formed in 2021, work hand in hand with industry to accelerate technology development. We talked about IDEX, and I want to tell you that the IDEX scheme, as a technology incubator, has seen its allocations jump 3 times in the last 2 years. And finally, the integration, which is the ability to work with the industry to bring together cutting-edge technologies across domains and develop a whole greater than the sum of its parts. Now, this convergence approach platforms different technological capabilities into force multipliers, where artificial intelligence enhances maritime surveillance, where quantum computing enhances naval communication, and where advanced materials revolutionize ship construction. I'm sure you are aware that technology, which is galloping at the speed of thought, is the glue that brings together cutting-edge capabilities for India to protect its interests at sea. To give an understanding of what technologies can do and why they are crucial for us, we have released suitable roadmaps to inform the industry about our requirements. Some of the niche, disruptive, and cutting-edge technologies that elude us today include the propulsion systems on our ships and submarines, aero engines, strategic underwater capability, high-end sensors and weapon systems, hypersonics, and large uncrewed systems, just to name a few. I'm aware that our R&D labs and industry are working at realizing these capabilities at the earliest. You would also be aware that while the nature of warfare has remained the same over centuries, the character of warfare has changed rapidly and continues to do so. Firstly, the lines between war and peace are increasingly blurred. Secondly, the commercial technologies are democratizing warfare, making it available to non-state actors. And finally, we are moving into an era of mass precision, where highly accurate capabilities and in large numbers both remain important for us. We also know that non-traditional threats, such as acts of terror, can quickly spiral into a wider conflagration and conflict. Use of non-contact warfare, along with space and cyber domains, to wage a conflict with no ceasefires is a reality. In this new paradigm, the industry has to see itself at the front lines of national defense. Our ability to absorb technologies at a rapid pace, translate them into combat capability, build at scale when called upon, what we call surge, and constantly innovate and adapt will define our collective security. So we may not be wrong in saying that national security no longer begins only at borders. It also begins in our R&D labs, in our factories, and in our firewalls. So to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, the maritime domain shall remain critical and central to our journey towards Viksit Bharat 2047 for the reasons which I mentioned. This has been acknowledged at the highest echelons of the nation. In an atmosphere where India's security is threatened by myriad challenges, the Navy's partnerships and industry is crucial to develop requisite capacities and technologies that would enable us to tackle the challenges of today and tomorrow and safeguard our national maritime interests anytime, anywhere, anyhow. I would once again thank the CII for giving me this opportunity to interact with you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind, Shamno Varuna.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite Dr. Samir V. Kamath, Secretary, Department of Defense, R&D, and Chairman, DRDO, to address the gathering, please.
Dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm indeed grateful to CII for inviting me here and giving me an opportunity to address you. At the outset, let me place on record DRDO's appreciation of the efforts of the armed forces in conducting Operation Sindoor very successfully. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Indian industry for helping us in produce the equipment they could use successfully during this operation. I would also like to congratulate the Indian industry for contributing significantly.
So that was the Annual Business Summit 2025 that is currently that is currently ongoing in the national capital, where armed service chiefs were addressing the gathering. We'll get you details of this summit in a while from now. But meanwhile, we'll get you the other news that we are tracking this hour. Hailing the Operation Sindoor, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India has given a clear message to the whole world that our nation is a strong and fearless nation which will not tolerate terrorism in any form. He was addressing a gathering in Sikkim as the state is celebrating its 50 years of statehood.
पूरी दुनिया देख रही है कि भारत पहले से कहीं ज्यादा एकजुट है। हमने एकजुट होकर आतंकियों और उनके सरपरस्तों को साफ संदेश दिया है। उन्होंने हमारे बेटियों के माथे से सिंदूर पोंछकर उनका जीना हराम कर दिया। हमने आतंकियों को ऑपरेशन सिंदूर से करारा जवाब दिया है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid the foundation stone and inaugurated multiple development projects in Sikkim. These included a new 500-bedded district hospital worth over 750 crore rupees in Namchi district, passenger ropeway at Sangacholin, Peling in Gyalshing district, and the statue of Bharat Ratna Atal Bihari Vajpayee at Atal Amrit Udyan at Sankola in Gangtok district. Highlighting Sikkim's developmental journey of 50 years, Prime Minister said that the northeastern state has become a model of progress and has emerged as a symbol of richness of culture and heritage.
सिक्किम सिर्फ हिल स्टेशन नहीं, ग्लोबल टूरिज्म डेस्टिनेशन बने। सिक्किम के सामर्थ्य का कोई मुकाबला ही नहीं है। सिक्किम टूरिज्म का कंप्लीट पैकेज है। यहां प्रकृति भी है, अध्यात्म भी है, यहां झीलें हैं, झरने हैं, पहाड़ है और शांति की छाया में बसे बौद्ध मठ भी है। कंचनजंगा नेशनल पार्क, यूनेस्को वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट, सिक्किम की इस धरोहर पर सिर्फ भारत नहीं, पूरी दुनिया को गर्व है।
In a significant step towards expanding the city gas distribution network in India, Prime Minister will lay the foundation stone of the CGD project in Alipurduar and Cooch Behar districts of West Bengal. The project, worth over 1,010 crore rupees, aims to provide piped natural gas to more than 2.5 lakh households, over 100 commercial establishments and industries, besides providing compressed natural gas to vehicular traffic. It will provide convenient, reliable, environment-friendly and cost-effective fuel supply and create employment opportunities in the region. On the next stopover, Prime Minister Modi will visit Bihar, where he will inaugurate the newly constructed passenger terminal of Patna Airport. He will also lay the foundation stone of the new civil enclave of Bihar Airport with over 1,410 crore rupees. The Bihar Airport will serve the town, which is rapidly emerging as an educational hub near Patna, and it houses IIT Patna and the proposed NIT Patna campus. On the 30th of May, Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone and dedicate to the nation multiple development projects worth over 48,520 crore rupees in Karakat. Aimed at boosting the infrastructure and connectivity, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lay the foundation stone and inaugurate multiple development projects in Uttar Pradesh on 30th of May. He will inaugurate the Kanpur Metro Rail project worth over 2,120 crore rupees. Additionally, he will also inaugurate road widening and strengthening work of GT Road. In order to boost power generation capacity in the region, multiple projects will be undertaken. Prime Minister will inaugurate a 660 megawatt Panki thermal power extension project in Kanpur worth over 8,300 crore rupees, enhancing Uttar Pradesh's energy capacity. Prime Minister will also distribute certificates and checks to the beneficiaries of PM Ayushman Vai Vandana Yojana. National Livelihood Mission and PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that India could have inflicted more damage while retaliating to Pakistan's terror attacks with Operation Sindoor, but it exercised restraint. Addressing the inaugural plenary of Confederation of Indian Industry, the Defence Minister highlighted the success of Make in India campaign, which proved to be both important for security and prosperity of India during Operation Sindoor. He said that those residing in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir are India's own and one day will surely return to the Indian mainstream.
वैसे साथियों, करने को हम कुछ और भी कर सकते थे, परंतु शक्ति के साथ संयम भी चाहिए.
Moving forward with diplomatic outreach, the Indian government continues to voice its stance against terrorism after launching Operation Sindoor. Pursuing India's renewed commitment to counter-terrorism and regional stability, the all-party delegation led by Member of Parliament Shrikant Shinde arrived in Sierra Leone's Freetown. During their stay in the West African nation, the delegation will hold talks with parliamentarians, think tanks, media and civil society to further unmask Pakistan's cross-border terrorism. Earlier on Wednesday, the delegation, while en route to Sierra Leone, halted in Lome, the capital city of Togo, for transit and held discussions on Pakistan-based terrorism and Operation Sindoor. In Saudi Arabia, an all-party delegation led by Member of Parliament B.J. Panda held a meeting with Deputy Speaker of the Shura Kunal. Also, the delegation expressed deep gratitude for Saudi Arabia's strong condemnation of the barbaric terrorist attack in Pahalgam. It conveyed that India stands firm and united in its resolve to fight terrorism. The delegation also had an extensive discussion with Saudi Minister for State for Foreign Affairs, Adel bin Ahmed Al Jubair. The Indian delegation appreciated the support received from political leadership in Saudi Arabia in condemning the terror attack in Pahalgam. The delegates reiterated India's policy of zero tolerance towards terrorism. In Italy, another multi-party delegation led by Member of Parliament Ravi Shankar Prasad highlighted the success of the delegation's meeting with Italian parliamentarians and said that there was commonality of understanding about India's position against terrorism. Earlier on Wednesday, the delegation interacted with the India-Italy Parliamentary Friendship Group chaired by Senator Guello Terzi di Santaga in Rome. The delegation also held meeting with President of the Committee on Foreign Affairs and European Commission of Italy's Chamber of Deputies, Giulio Tremonti. The all-party Indian delegation, led by Member of Indian Parliament Supriya Sule, has reached the end of their visit to South Africa. On the last day, the delegation will be engaged in meetings and will visit Constitution Hill to pay floral tributes to the bust of Mahatma Gandhi. DD India correspondent Nazneen Ismail reports on this.
All-party delegation is set to conclude its official visit to South Africa with a series of high-level meetings in Pretoria and Johannesburg. The delegation will hold discussions with government leaders, influential stakeholders and think tanks, reinforcing strategic cooperation and joint efforts in global peace and security. In a symbolic tribute, the delegation will also lay flowers at the Mahatma Gandhi bust at Constitution Hill, honoring the shared legacy of the father of the nation and his historic ties to South Africa.
As part of the government's diplomatic outreach to highlight India's stance on terrorism, the all-party parliamentary delegation, led by Member of Parliament Kanimoi, met with senior officials from Greece's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, including Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Greece, on Wednesday. During the meeting, the delegation underscored New Delhi's uncompromising approach towards terrorism. The delegation firmly conveyed that there can be no differentiation between terrorist actors and those who shelter them.
We come as a delegation to express our anguish and also to seek the support of Greece and the European Union, and also to ensure accountability for what has been happening from the Pakistani side in the United Nations Security Council, and the parliamentarians and the lawmakers here have understood what is happening in the Indian soil.
While interacting with the Indian diaspora on Wednesday, she added that the government's outreach, which includes opposition MPs, reflects a united stance against cross-border terrorism and a firm resolve to say no more after years of suffering. The Indian diaspora expressed their full support to India's effort and solidarity with the nation in wake of the recent terror attack in Pahalgam.
Any kind of terror should be condemned, and India has condemned it in a right way. There is a place and time to give a response, and we fully stand with the Indian government in the response which they have meted out. And as an Indian diaspora and as Indian community, we truly stand behind our government. We have only targeted their terrorist sites, and the response is truly deserved. And it's not only war on terrorism, now it is war on perception as well, and that is why the Indian delegation is here. The perception is really required, and we are doing everything, Indian government is doing everything it can to build that perception.
In Panama, multi-party delegation led by Dr. Shashi Tharoor met with President of the Republic of Panama, Jose Raul Mulino, at the Presidential House. The delegation had a constructive and productive discussion with President Quintero. The President expressed his understanding and support for India's fight against terrorism. The meeting with Panamanian President comes as part of India's efforts to convey its resolute stance against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. Earlier, the delegation held a meeting with Panama's Foreign Minister, Javier Martinez Aca, on Wednesday. During their meeting, the delegation showed pictures of Pakistani army officials attending the funeral of UN-designated terrorists who were killed during the Indian Armed Forces military action, Operation Sindoor. Panamanian Foreign Minister extended his country's support to India in its fight against terrorism. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that India's right to defend its people against acts of terror has been recognized by countries across the world. Addressing an event at the Embassy of Italy to celebrate Italian National Day in New Delhi, Dr. S. Jaishankar appreciated India's solidarity and support to India. In fact, Italy's solidarity and support to India following the barbaric terror attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. He said that India gave a firm, resolute and measured response by destroying the relevant terror centers and launch pads. He said that India believes that the world will have zero tolerance for terrorism and cross-border terrorism.
We are thankful, Ambassador, for Italy's solidarity and support to India following the barbaric terror attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. India gave a firm, resolute and measured response by destroying the relevant terror centers and launch pads. India's right to defend its people against acts of terror has also been recognized by countries across the world. We believe that the world will have zero tolerance for terrorism and cross-border terrorism.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah will visit Jammu and Kashmir to review the security situation and also meet the people affected by recent Pakistani shelling. This will be the minister's first visit to Jammu and Kashmir since Operation Sindoor commenced on May 7th. Besides reviewing the security situation, the minister is likely to visit Poonch, which saw the massive destruction of properties in shelling and firing from Pakistani side. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and US Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau reaffirmed their shared desire to maintain regional stability and peace and discuss the full breadth of the India-US bilateral agenda and shared priorities. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, who is on the US visit, had a meeting with Christopher Landau in Washington. He underscored the importance of fair and reciprocal market access to fostering economic growth and prosperity in both the countries and emphasized on the importance of enhanced cooperation on migration and counter-narcotics action. Earlier, the Foreign Secretary Also met Deputy National Security Advisor, Ambassador Pawan Kapoor, for the interagency discussions on the India-US Compact for the 21st century. Discussions at the White House focused on implementing the Trust Initiative, taking forward the cooperation in defense and energy domains, and strengthening the Quad, IMEEC and I2U2 initiatives. After an 8-month sea odyssey, Indian naval sailing vessel INS NV Tarini, carrying 2 women officers, is set to return home today, marking the culmination of a challenging voyage that spanned across 4 continents. Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi had flagged off the Indian naval sailing vessel Tarini from Naval Ocean's sailing node in Goa on October 2nd last year. The flag-in ceremony of Tarini will be presided over by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh at Mormugao Port in Goa, formally marking the culmination of the global circumnavigation. You're heading for a short break. You're watching DD India Live. Stay with us.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. In a major blow to President Donald Trump's trade agenda, a federal court has blocked most of his sweeping import tariffs, ruling they exceeded presidential authority. The decision halts one of the boldest moves in Trump's America First trade war and could have broad implications for executive power. We get to more in this report.
In a ruling that shook Washington and global markets, a 3-judge panel on the Court of International Trade blocked most of the import tariffs imposed by Donald Trump during his time in office. The judges said President overstepped his legal bounds, using emergency powers meant for national security threats to launch a sweeping global trade offensive. The court found that the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or the IEEPA, does not give the president unlimited authority to impose tariffs, especially on nearly every country in the world. The White House called the decision an affront by unelected judges and insisted the administration would continue to fight what it calls.
All right, we'll take you to the live session at CII event, that is the Annual Business Summit 2025. Air Chief Marshal AP Singh is addressing the gathering. We'll take you live there.
CII for giving me this opportunity to come here and meet you all. मेरे को एक कॉफ़ी भी प्रॉमिस करी गई थी बट वो मिली नहीं अभी तक एंड मैं पीछे देख रहा हूँ सब लोग कॉफ़ी पी रहे हैं यहाँ बैठ कर एनीवे I must put on record this Operation Sindoor that we've been talking about. It's a national victory. My thanks to each and every one of Indian here. I'm sure every Indian contributed towards this victory. Like it has been said again, that this was an operation which was executed in a very professional manner by everybody, all the agencies, all the forces. We all came together, and जब सच साथ होता है तो सब कुछ अपने आप हो जाता है. Since we were looking for, we were taking the path of truth, I think God was with us also in this. As far as the trust is concerned, we've been talking about trust. Actually, there is nothing much left for me to say amongst what was written in my book by my staff, because everything has already been spoken. I'm very grateful that at least the army didn't get a chance to speak before me. Otherwise, again, I would have ended up speaking the last. So, trust for defense forces, it is intrinsic. You know, our default setting is trust. And when we say building trust, we don't understand what is building trust. Because when we join any force, when we join any group of people, when we join any squadron, it is not built over a period of time. It comes for the first sortie. The very first mission that you're flying, you have to trust each other. Because your life depends on somebody else. Somebody else's life depends on you. Your one mistake can cause some, some kind of a failure. And we all work like a chain. We all are, everybody, not just the chief. Even the smallest person in an organization, especially in defense, is like a link in the chain. So everybody has to do their part so that they don't become weak. That particular chain will break from the weak link. So all of us work towards that I am not that weak link because of this chain work. Because of whom the chain will break. So when we talk about, a nation, then all of us in these groups, Army, Navy, Air Force, various agencies, industry, DRDO, all of us are again those links in a bigger chain. And we all have to make sure that that group that I belong to is not the weak group because of which this chain will break. And that is what is trust. That if I am trying to be strong enough not to let this system break, everybody else is also trying equally to be strong enough, to be competent enough in that game, or at least being aware of where the shortcoming lies and improving that system. So building trust is not required with armed forces. I think armed forces, we are born with trust when we're born in the armed forces. But retaining that trust, keeping that trust on, depends on a lot of actions. Obviously, if you see a person is failing you again and again, the trust will break someday. The trust will go down, and we have to keep reinforcing that trust. This Op Sindoor, as it is, like it was told by Chief of Naval Staff, that character of war is changing. Every day we're finding new technologies coming in. Technology is coming in a big way in our warfare now. And Op Sindoor has again given us clear idea of where we are headed and what we need in future. So a lot of work needs to be done in realigning our own thought processes also, which is already going on. And I'm sure since we have been able to come up to the challenge till now, in future also we will be able to deliver the goods as a nation, and we will be able to achieve our objectives. The point that was brought out by Honorable RM as well as Defense Secretary, that the fact that AMCA, the Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, I'm not calling it what generation, because finally when it comes out it should be of contemporary generation, but that AMCA has been cleared for even participation by private industry, which is a very big step, and that is the kind of, I think, confidence that the nation has in private industry today, and I'm sure this is going to pave a way to bigger things coming in the future. As far as Indian Air Force is concerned, I know we are a seafaring nation, and we need to be the big naval power. But I think whether it's a land power or naval power, Air Force will always remain. The air power will have to be interesting to both these. Any kind of operations that we do, we can't do it without air power, and I think that has been proved very well during these operations also. So our focus as far as air power is concerned, we need to make sure that we have to have the capability plus the capacity. This again has been alluded to today. We cannot just talk about producing in India. We need to start designing and developing in India also. And when it comes to producing in numbers, the capacity comes in. So we need to have this trust between the forces and the industry continued. We need to have the communication continued. We need to be open with each other. We need to be very open and forthright with each other so that this relationship doesn't break down anywhere. You know, that pran jaye par vachan na jaye. I am just told today only. I think that is something that we have to do. That एक बारी जो हमने commit किया है, फिर मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता, है ना, वो वाले. I'm not going into numbers. Air Force is trying its best to do maximum possible as far as Make in India is concerned, MAKE program, IDEX program, the number of orders that have been given to the Indian industry, some of the rules that the government made. I'm not saying that we would have come on this path on our own. There were times when we were always, doubting the Indian industry that it cannot give us the kind of return that we want, it cannot give us the product that we want, and we were looking outward more. But over the last decade plus, I think things have changed quite a bit. A rap on our knuckles has made us think inward and look inward, and then we realized that yes, there are a lot of opportunities that we have within India, and now also the current situation in the world has made us realize that Atmanirbharta is the only solution. But we have to be now ready to be future ready. So that is the concern, that yes, I can look at next 10 years, we will have certain more output from the industry, Indian industry, we have from the DRDO. But what is required today is required today. So we need to quickly get our act together, maybe get into some quick Make in India programs so that we can achieve that now ready part of it, while Design in India continues to produce results in the near future or maybe later. And of course, like I said, this war was won by a whole of nation approach. The same approach needs to continue while talking about empowering the defense forces. Actually, it is not just whole of nation approach, it is, we have to be whole of nation mission mode, if I can call it, to make sure that we accelerate and produce results. So, they said your coffee is ready. So I need to hurry up. So I will just tell you 2-3 things what we can do in towards rebuilding the trust or continuing with the trust. One is R&D budget. I think it has very clearly been brought out by everybody that we need to invest more. If I think people from Punjabi community will understand something called Daswant, that we said 10% of our earnings should go back towards the society. So something like that CSR has been started. I think something on those lines we should start, that if I'm earning so much of money should go towards R&D, towards defense of the nation. That every industry has to come up with some plan. And we need to have, thank you, ma'am. We need to have, I think clapping last ke liye chhodte hain, meri coffee reh jayegi nahi to. Adequate, impetus toward disruptive technology, and also, though it was said very clearly that, incentive doesn't get you people, it is the environment that gets you people. But I think to some extent we need to create some incentive, some good environment so that we get the best people for the job. We are not able to get the best people for the job. People are going outward, they are going and working from other countries. I think we need to retain them here by giving them good payment, good incentive, good work environment, maybe some recognition. Timelines is a big issue. That is where that Vachan part comes in. So once a timeline is given, not a single project that I can think of has been completed on time. So this is something where we have to look at. Why should we promise something which cannot be achieved? While signing the contract itself, some of the times we are sure that it is not going to come up. But we just sign the contract. Uske baad dekhenge kya karna. Obviously, then the process gets vitiated. Capacity building, I've already talked about. संयम की बात करी थी RMNA, restraint. So even defense forces have been, keeping this restraint of not calling, a black sheep a black sheep. We've been trying to encourage people, but somewhere it will break down someday. So I'm sure let's stretch the thread, the elastic to that process where it is not breaking down. As far as keeping national interests first, I think we've talked about. And with this now situation where we are going, where we are opening up towards the private industry, I'm just reminded of a quote, something that Winston Churchill has said, and I'm going to quote him. To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they have figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered a chance to do something special. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared for that which could have been their finest hour. So my request to you all will be, this is something that can become your finest hour. You have a tap on your shoulder. Please rise to the occasion, come together. If today somebody is manufacturing world-class cars, world-class electronic, world-class equipment in the civil domain, why can't that industry or some of the industry join together and say, we will make world-class military equipment, even if it doesn't give me the profit that I'm looking for. Let's rise together to make this nation a great nation. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. And Jai Hind!
Thank you, sir.
So that was the live session of the CII event, the Annual Business Summit 2025. Air Chief Marshal AP Singh addressed the gathering and he talked of strengthening the defense forces. He called for more investment, adequate impetus towards technology and also retaining the workforce in the country. And he also emphasized on sticking to the timeline for tasks and contracts. And he also talked of capacity building in the nation. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Gaur signing off, and from all of us at in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.